Welcome to Harlem Is Healing Dialogue. My name is Stephanie Berry, and I'm pleased to be your host for the healing conversation for today. Harlem Is Healing is a program of Community Works and the New Heritage Theater Group. The program began in 2020 to highlight contributions by community members responding to the pandemic and its disproportionate impact on Harlem and other communities of color over the past 2 years. Many of our guests that we've had already been working for social justice, and through their organizational efforts have been responding to the unmet needs in our community. However, the pandemic revealed and triggered a dire need to respond to calls for social justice, voting rights, and to community policing, and to the very meaning of democracy itself. What we discovered was an immediate need for healing in our communities. Today's guest is a founder of an organization called Harlem Mothers S.A.V.E. Their mission is to prolong the life among New York City's youth by preventing gun violence. Last Monday, I attended one of your meetings, Ms. Rowe-Adams, and I have to tell you, your work was a real example of healing, community love, and support. I was moved to tears and laughter, and I'll share that later. But I want our listening audience to know how proud I am to welcome our longtime Harlem community worker and a founding member of Harlem Mothers S.A.V.E., Miss Jackie Rowe-Adams. How are you today?
Well, first of all, Stephanie, let me say it was an honor to have you there. The parents, the mothers and fathers, they were very pleased just with your whole aura of, being there. The spirits of healing, it really let you know how people really feel, especially in the time of these crises, in the time of bereavement, in the time of grief. You were so welcome, because we don't let everybody sit through the whole meeting. We really don't. And as you've seen, you saw laughter.
Yes.
You saw crying, and that's what we about. And you saw us moving forward. So we call ourselves the Moving Forward Group. We laugh, we cry, and we move forward.
And I want to talk to you about that duplicity, which I found amazing. I had to control myself from commenting because I was there as an observer, and I had to really control because I wanted to hop in and, again, I both cried, I shed a few tears, and I laughed. And I'd like to talk to you more about the duplicity of that, because I think there lies the seed and core of healing. And I want the audience to understand that. But I want you to first take us back to the beginning of Harlem Mothers S.A.V.E. Can you tell us, and also tell us where you're located? What does that mean?
So 2006, Harlem Mothers S.A.V.E., we started Harlem Mothers S.A.V.E. And the reason is because I lost 2 kids to gunfire. And Stephanie, I didn't know what to do. I felt all alone. And I started hearing that it was other groups out there and parents and families that have had a loss. So I connected with them through Safe Horizon. It's an organization called Safe Horizon that connects families that have had a loss and brings them together and help them move forward and help them with housing and refer them to bereavement counseling. And I heard all about that. So one morning I woke up, one Labor Day, Memorial Day, because the night before that Memorial Day, it was so many shootings and killings. And I woke up, I had an epiphany, and this is real, in the middle of the night. And I said to my husband, I can't take it no more. Do you hear all this shooting and killing and lives are lost? I said, we gotta do something about it. 4 a.m, my husband said, Jackie, what is wrong with you? Do you know what time it is? I said, I do. I said, but I cannot go back to sleep because people's lives are getting taken. We're losing our kids. And this is 2006. And I said, we have to call the question. And this is a real story. I said, we have to call the question, who's giving our kids these guns? And he said, okay. So I went back to sleep. I got up that morning. I started calling some of the parents that I heard of and that I knew that have had a loss that I was referred to a while back. And I said to them, we have to stop some of this violence. We got to get to elected officials to help us get this message out.
Now, Jackie, was this after you lost your sons?
Oh, way after,
Okay.
yes. Matter of fact, I lost my first son, 1982. I lost my first son. Seemed just like yesterday. He was 17 years old. My second son, who would think 16 years later, I would lose my second son. He was 28. A 13-year-old killed my second son. And I was lost for a while because you don't know what to do. You're in pain, you're grieving, you think you're all alone. But because I had the support of family and church, and God brought me through. And so as it went on, I started getting more involved with the community, with the police, just doing something, looking for a safe haven, for a safe haven. That was the spirit, lead me and guide me. And I end up meeting so many people. And
so your inspiration was fueled not only by the death of your own sons and two sons, that's, I can barely sit here, but, and both to violence. It's very different to lose someone by natural causes or an illness, but to violence, because I've experienced that, and I'll share that later, that my brother, who actually introduced me to you, his life was taken by violence in the street. So, and that's ironic. But I want to go back to that moment where you had this inspiration that it sounds like the founding fodder for Mothers S.A.V.E, Harlem Mothers S.A.V.E. So your both sons had passed, and you're hearing all of this gun violence, and you wake up 4 a.m. in the morning telling your husband you have got to do something.
Yes, absolutely. And the reason is too, I realized, and I said to the other moms, we cannot bring back our kids. So at least we could help another mother, another family, for feeling the pain and hurt that we're feeling. We could do prevention and education, educate them, talk about prevention. Let's try to save some lives because we couldn't save our kids. And that's how it really got started. And we called Assemblyman Keith Wright and said, help. We want to have a meeting, a press conference or something, because we have to stop this gun violence. We are losing our kids. He said, come on in. We went there at that time. He was assemblyman. We went there crying all over his carpet. And I'm telling you, it was a Tuesday, and this is real. It was a Tuesday. That Friday, we were on the steps of City Hall because he said, we got to find y'all a name. We got to find y'all a name. It was 5 mothers. We got to find y'all a name. And they came up with Harlem Mothers S.A.V.E, Stop Another Violent End. And he said, I'm going to make some calls. He called the 100 Black law enforcement and said, I have some parents here and they want to call the question on who's giving out these guns. Where are these guns coming from? How are they getting these guns in their hand? Friday, we stood on the steps of City Hall.
So this is within 3 days
of bringing
the young mothers together. 3 days.
3 days. And when I tell the story, they say, for real, I said, this is a true story. And when he called the 100 Black law enforcement, he told them, I have these mothers. At that time, Eric Adams was the president of the 100 Black law enforcement because he was a captain, a sergeant at that time. And Eric Adams came and stood on the steps of City Hall with his other team. And that's how we got started. And today to say he's standing on the steps of City Hall as our mayor, that's real.
Are you still in touch with Mayor Eric Adams?
Oh, absolutely. I tell a story whenever we go somewhere. We tell the story. Absolutely. So he watched us. He helped us. And he watched us come together. He watched us grow. And so after that, guess what? Who's giving our kids these guns? That was the question. And they found 2 bodegas in Harlem that was selling kids these guns. Watermelon truck, and I want you to hear me. Watermelon truck on 127th Street selling watermelons and good collard greens. Okay. And they were selling guns because they brought them from down south when they went to pick up the watermelon and the collard. And this is what
adds an interesting complexity to the issue of gun violence, because here you have a real example of guns being easily readable to anyone.
Yes.
Easily available to anyone. That's very interesting. That's startling. That's something that could be made a movie out of that, and you wouldn't believe it.
And you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
When I tell a story, some people don't believe it. I said, well, they said, if you're telling it, it has to be true. And it is true. And that's how we got started. And we did not stop. Stephanie, we did not stop. We kept moving forward, moving forward. We started with 5 mothers. Now we have 50 plus mothers and fathers. I am so glad to have this group, but I'm sad. I'm glad because, see, unlike when I lost my 2 boys, I didn't know where to turn. I didn't have big organizations like this, other people that you know that networked it and work. But now we have that. And there's other groups out there. But Harlem Mothers and Fathers, we are known to do bereavement counseling, to deal with the grief and the pain and the hurt. You could come to our meeting as you did, and you could hear the stories in there, just unbelievable.
Now, Jackie, the meeting that I came to, it sounds like it's just one aspect of the services that Harlem Mothers S.A.V.E provides to the community. What other initiatives do you provide for the community?
I'm so glad you asked. We deal with the youth peer-to-peer. We have the kids group called We Hurt Too. Those are the siblings of some of the kids that were lost. That's their brothers and sisters. We Hurt Too. We deal with the prevention and education. They have an opportunity to express themselves. We take the kids on trips. We go to the schools and we talk to the parents and we talk to the kids. We went to school and talked to the parents and told them, look in your kids' book bags. Check the kids' book bags. Look under your mattress. See, if there's anything in there. Make sure you know who your kids' friends are. Make sure you get their numbers. And do you know a parent went home because he said he never would imagine he wouldn't check this kid. You're not going to get it. Because the kids tell you, oh, don't go in my room, get out my room or something. That's it. He checked his son's book bag. His son was 12. And didn't he find a gun?
12 years old.
12 years old.
Yeah.
He said he almost had a heart attack. Yeah. And it's not your child so much that's bad. They're trying to fit in with other kids. And the kids see that they're good kids and they say, oh, hold this for me. And that's what happened. He was holding his friend gun. And if you know today's world and the parents, people need to know this. We have 10-year-olds that's carrying guns. We have
10 years old.
10 years old that's carrying guns. 10 years
It's
old.
unimaginable.
It's unimaginable, and they have it on film. I've seen it all, you know, because I work very closely with NYPD.
Now, Jackie, the parents that come to you for comfort and the bereavement, do they get involved with the other aspects of your program?
Oh, absolutely. Just like now, I have a summer youth program. They come out, they work with the kids. That during the pandemic, intergenerational, the kids and the mothers and fathers fed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. We give scholarships to the kids. You know, everybody is working together. We make sure that Thanksgiving, we give the turkeys. Thanksgiving, we give turkeys away. Don Peoples, the People Corporation, gives us 300 turkeys every year. We give food away, we give turkeys away. We're very active. We take trips like we just went down to Gracie Mansion. You know, you got to introduce kids to stuff. You got to say, get off the block. You got to take them off the block. We went to
Well,
Gracie Mansion.
there's never one answer to problems like gun violence, community policing, housing, any of those aspects of our social, fabric.
Absolutely.
There's no one answer. And it sounds
Absolutely.
like you have several initiatives to attack, approach, and embrace all the different facets
Absolutely.
that are challenging us, that lead to violence.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you have a relationship with any of the schools?
Well, I'm glad you said. That's why I said we used to go to the schools before the COVID to talk to the parents and the kids. We have a great relationship with all the Harlem schools. The ones on 135th Street, Bread and Roses, the new chancellor, the new superintendent of School Board District 5 he is a product of the Harlem schools. He used to be the principal at PS 125. I was also the president of School Board District 5 for 10 years. Oh, wow. So I have a great relationship. I produce some of the principles because, the board had to sign off on a lot of that stuff, and I was the president. So I interact with all principals, superintendents, and the new chancellor. I love him. I think he's the right one. I remember when they started Eagle Academy. I was a part of that. I was just active in it. And this is what our healing process is about. Because if we stay busy and we stay active and we trying to save lives and get the word out and get the message out and let people know you have something to live for. It's things that the kids and adults and families could do together. And it's very important, Stephanie, as you heard of that, we have to save our kids. We have to work with them. All these kids are ours. All these kids is ours. If you see something, you have to say something.
Say something.
And let's talk about the anti-gun violence health walk they're going to have Saturday.
That's yes.
Example. That's a great example right there. Harlem Week.
That's this coming Saturday.
This coming Saturday. It's going to be an anti-gun violence health walk. The theme is save our children. So Harlem Mothers and Fathers, we do all of that. We get with these organizations. Well, I am a part of Harlem Week. I am a part of the historic landmark of the whole Percy Sutton Walk, and run. And so these are the programs that we have to continue to put in our community.
Can you give us the information for the, what is it that you said it was a rally or march?
No, it's an anti-gun violence health walk. We're walking for health. We walking for spirituality. We walking to make sure that
How does someone sign up do, or where do we show up? What time? Give us the information.
Okay,
We can get
Saturday,
out there.
August 13th, 9:30 a.m. You'll be right there on 135th Street at St. Nicholas Avenue. And for more information, you're going to call. This is so important. 1-877-427-5364. And bring a sign, a picture if you have it. Wear your t-shirts. If it's a group, come. We need to let the world know that.
Now, how does this march impact healing, educate? How does this march have an impact on our community and the issue of gun violence?
Because there's so much gun violence, Stephanie, every day. And as we speak, somebody probably getting shot at. And so Harlem Chamber, along with the runners, the road runners, they came up with, come on, each one have to take and do something and make a difference. It really impacts the community when everybody come together. And to come together on this walk and show the world we stand together and we sick and tired of being sick and tired. And and maybe the young kids, you know what, we're killing each other. You know, I get so passionate and excited because I'm angry, but you know what? Anger is going to save lives. That's the kind of angry I am, to try to make a difference. And thank God for this anti-gun. Now, we have not had
what time should we be there on
9
Saturday?
a.m. 9 a.m. Be there at 9 a.m. and be prepared to walk. Bring your signs. Bring this. If you have a loved one picture you want to bring, you come right there on 135th. It impacts the healing. We got to start healing. We have to start somewhere. We just came out of this COVID. So we was healing for COVID. We're healing for life. And you know what? A lot of young people will be there walking because they sick of losing their friends. They're sick of losing their brothers and their sisters. And when we talk to these young people, they say, Miss Adams, you are right. We are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And everybody have a gun. They say, Miss Adams, if we can make a difference, we're going to be there. So yes, anti-gun violence health walk. And it's walking your health. Just walking, trying to stay healthy.
Exactly.
But mentally, not only physically, but mentally, it clears your mind. It lets you feel that you're making a difference.
And many of us don't really understand or relate to the power of the spirit. Yes. And that's what I love about what you're talking about too. Yes, concrete, tangible efforts, but also strengthening and healing and motivating the spirit.
Absolutely.
Yes. That's behind every action. I have an important question to ask, and I was wondering this when I was at the meeting. What about the young kids? You said that your son was killed by a 13-year-old. What about that child? There are many people that say that when the killer is that young, that we've lost not one person, but two. What about that child?
Absolutely. You lost two because they get lost. And you know, not only the kids get lost, but the kids, the shooters or the killers, their families are lost. Their families are hurting too. But at that time, when we lose our loved ones, we're not thinking about nobody's family. We think about But when you talk about the hurt and pain, that other family's feeling it some kind of way. Because, you know, our kids will show good in front of us and they'll walk up that door. You don't know what they do. You don't know what they do. But let me tell you what happened to the 13-year-old. He went to juvenile, you know, and that's why that's why they got him to kill my son. It was a 17-year-old and it was a 13. They thought he would not, you know, the thing is, oh, they're too young. They won't go to jail. But he went through the system to the juvenile. They kept him until he was 18, okay? And when he turned 18, they put him in regular jail. So I was fortunate. And let me tell you, they called me after they put him in jail. He only did like maybe 4 or 5 years. And they called me and said he's going to come out on probation, or they're going to release him, parole. And at that time he was 20 something. Okay. And what do you want to come to the hearing? Do you have some, should we let him out? What's your feelings? I said to them, I'm not coming to the hearing. I couldn't bear it. Just like some of my parents, they go to every court, as a leader, I really cannot handle it. And I admire my parents. I admire the families that could go sit in the court. I couldn't deal with it at the time. That was before I started the support group. I could not deal with it. So I always spoke honest about how I couldn't and I could respect them. So I said to them, I'm not coming. But if you feel that he had remorse, and if you feel that he learned something, took a trade, or want to go on the right path, let him go. Let's see what he do. Maybe somebody will monitor him if you feel it. And that's what I did. That's what I did.
That is a true sign of healing and transformation, even within yourself. That's very admirable. Your passion is contagious. And so I can just imagine you out in the street, in the schools, educating and informing and motivating people. Your passion and commitment is absolutely contagious. I want to thank you so much for your work. I do want to has any parent of a child who was a shooter ever attended one of your meetings?
Yes. Now. We have, was he there? Yes. One of the grandfathers, I don't know if you heard James, his name is James. He told his story. Well, he just introduced himself and said his grandson got killed. But let me tell you how he became a part of us. He was our maintenance man. And as he was cleaning, this was years, he's been with us now about 5 years. As he was cleaning, he saw the pictures. This was in another place. We just moved here about 4 years ago in this new office. And he was cleaning and saw the pictures. He would hear us talking in the meeting. And one day he said to me, Miss Adams, he said, can I tell you something? I said, oh, yeah. I'm thinking he's going to talk about work, or he ain't going to, He said, I lost my grandson to murder, to gun violence. I said, really? He said, yes. He said, I would like to be a part of this group because I've been hurting a long time. One day I want you to come and hear a story. He says, I've been hurting a long time, but I didn't know what to do. And my son just shut down. My son wouldn't even deal with it. My son didn't want to have nothing to do with them. With the whole death thing. He just shut it, put it out, put it aside, because we didn't know what to do. He said, I would love to bring my son to the meeting, but his son refused to come. So he stayed with us, and he's one of our top dads. He's one of our top dads. Now, on the other hand, he have a son that killed somebody. It's double. So he tells the story, and that's why he could forgive the shooters, or the killers, because a lot of people get stabbed. He could excuse. He's very sensitive on that. So he could talk on both sides, and he tell you, I could talk on both sides. And the son that killed someone, he should be out of jail soon. And some of the parents didn't know how to take it. They did not, to this day, they do not excuse that. Not only from him, but it's very hard to say, yeah, I know you killed somebody and you could come to my meeting. But I have had other families, a young man, he came out of jail and he got into this program, and he would go out and speak to the parents and stuff and to people He was in for murder twice. My parents said unacceptable. They didn't want him to come back. So yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
But when you talk about how guns were able to be purchased in a bodega, on a watermelon truck.
Yes.
When you talk about no activities, community centers available for the youth, when you talk about housing shortages and homelessness, it all adds up to provoking or stimulating a life of violence.
Yes.
So, you have to take that into consideration. I appreciate that you are attending to that aspect. Also,
Absolutely.
the shooter, the young shooter, because his or her life is at risk
it's
also,
gone.
or lost.
Gone.
Yes.
It really is lost.
They call you the anti-violence crusader. I heard that. I don't remember where I heard it from. Well, it's obvious how you got that title. But are you aware of that?
No.
Yes, they call you the
anti-violence
crusader.
Wow.
But before we run out of time, and I do have another question or two, I want you to tell our listening audiences where you are located and how we can get in touch with you. If anyone has any interest in working on behalf of gun violence and work maybe mentoring with our young people, how do they find you?
So before I say that, before I go there, let me quickly just say thank you so very much, Stephanie. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Vosa. Thank you, Josh. It means so much when you do teamwork and people work together. This means so much to me. And that's why it's about taking back our community, taking back our kids. I mean, block by block together, side by side. This work is so important. I want to say, if you feel that you're alone, any parents or families, not only gun violence, but violence, period. People are stabbing each other. You got a lot of domestic violence. If you feel you're alone and don't know where to turn, because we understand your pain, and we have a doctor, Dr. John Palmer, you met him. He's there to deal with that trauma, deal with that pain, and deal with that hurt. And we all know, and if you don't have anyone and you feel you're alone, please, Harlem Mothers and Fathers S.A.V.E, 212-234-0112, 212-234-0112. We're located at 306A West 128th Street, between St. Nicholas and 8th. It is so important. You could just walk in, you could call, you could make an appointment. And if you're hurting that bad, no appointment. And what we deal with is, once you call us, we don't just run out there when we hear the shooting stuff. We wait for the families to call us, somebody in the family, because they're traumatized when this first happened. They're not hearing you, Stephanie. They don't know what you're talking about. They're dealing with the hurt and loss of their child, of their loved one. So we wait for them to call us. And when we go, we let them know. Once they know that we know their pain and we understand their pain and hurt, they automatically gravitate and they listen, because they know we know their pain. And when I tell a parent that I lost 2 kids, they automatically just give me a hug. And I have to say, the police officers that got killed, Mora and Rivera,
yes,
I was with their mothers. And when they found out that I had 2 losses, they broke away from all the police and everybody and came and hugged me, because they know I know the pain and hurt. And I just want people to know you're not alone. You're not alone, and you will survive.
Yes. Now, you had mentioned earlier the impact of COVID on all of us. How did you keep your organization going during COVID?
It was hard because a lot of us were sick, and I was very sick. Stephanie, I was very sick, and I'm a real testimony today. I was in the hospital for almost 14 days. I had pneumonia in both lungs. Okay, it's so much. We could talk for 3 hours for. I had pneumonia in both lungs, but I was supposed to stay 14 days, but on the 7th day, I said, God, an angel came in my room, and that's true. And said, Jackie, go home. Because that was during the time when everybody was dying. That was when it first happened. Doctors didn't know what to do, the nurses. And I was in this cold dungeon by myself. Okay? And when I tell you, it was a hard thing. I lost a lot. My body, you know, I probably still have long term. I lost a lot, but it kept the group together because everybody was so concerned with not only me, but with each other. And we knew we needed to help each other and yell out and still deal with our trauma of losing our loved ones. And that's how we stayed together.
Did you do Zoom meetings?
Yes, we did. We did Zoom. And I was sick, but honey, when I came home, I left that hospital, but the doctor signed me out. I said, I got to go home. And the rest is history. I got well. I took about 3 months. It took about 3 months for me to really recuperate. But I was supposed to stay there for 14 days. Both lungs, pneumonia.
Wow.
Okay, double pneumonia. It was really bad. I'm a miracle. And I sit here today and so proud of the mothers and fathers and the families that's out there now hurting, how they're trying to survive and make it. And we're here. We're here. And we don't turn nobody away. And you don't have to pay no money. No money. You just come because it helps me heal. And we let them know they're not alone. And it is help out there because you have people that want to commit suicide because, you know, they don't have their loved one. And you see visions and people don't want to listen to you and they say, oh, you still crying or you can't get over it. No, you'll never get over it. But what we do is help you move forward. And that's what we do.
That leads me to my last question. Actually, I have several more, but we're running out of time. I talked about that duplicity at the meeting that I attended. And when I walked in, there was a woman who actually fell apart. She was devastated. She had been going back and forth to court. Her son had died. I forgot how long ago, maybe a year ago.
Yeah, a year.
And the court the trial was being prolonged and put off and put off and put off. And she broke down.
Yes.
And then a few minutes later, we're smiling and eating and laughing. How do you keep that duplicity? How do you allow people to express their trauma, to cry, to weep, and then in the next few minutes, we're laughing?
And that's what's the good part. And that's why people come to us. They say, y'all are better than the psychiatrist. Y'all are better than the therapist giving us those pills. This is a healing. And that's why we call ourselves the Moving Forward Group. It is so easy because the realness in the spirit is in that room, in the atmosphere, the healing, because people want to heal. People want to know everybody not broke down and crying or want to be suicidal. They want to be like family. We all family that we didn't choose. And that is so easy. And I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you asked that question. You've seen how I go. 1 minute and somebody will crack a joke on the other. And know why it's easy? Because we all know each other had a loss and hurt. See, it wouldn't have been easy if people didn't know that Stephanie didn't lose nobody. What's she laughing at? You see what I'm saying? Why she's so happy. But when we laugh and happy, they know everyone, all at that time, honey, we had about 15 in the room at that time when you were there.
I counted 20.
Every one of them had a loss almost, okay? Yes. So that's how we're able to do it. Anybody can't do it and just come in and laugh. I think you laughing at them. So that's the understanding of that group and of that healing. And you cannot, it's priceless. It's priceless. It's priceless. And let me say this, not only healing, you see, we had several announcements. We got the Children Festival coming up. They're all going to make sure that kids is involved. We got the spelling bee coming up. They're going to, this is thing to keep them busy. Life don't stop. Life don't stop. I forgot
about the spelling bee. You hit every aspect of life.
Yes.
I want to thank you so much, not just for doing this interview with me, which is an honor, but I really want to thank you as a lifelong Harlem resident, just of the work that you do. The work that you do. You have inspired me, and I hope to see you Saturday. And I will be coming to more of your marches and your events to put my little piece of energy into the pot, the healing pot.
Oh,
So I
thank
want
you.
to thank you for your work as another Harlem resident. I want to
I
thank
have great support, Stephanie, great
yes,
support. And I want to thank Lloyd Williams and his wife, Valerie. They are my biggest team. And they, you know, and a lot in the community. NYPD, we do a lot of work with NYPD. I can't do much without them. So, you know, it's a team, it's a support. And I got you. And, you know, Barbara been with me a long time. So it's all, you know, us together. We can't not do it alone. And people need to,
exactly.
what's the famous words of David Jenkins? Everybody stand on somebody's
At
shoulders.
shoulder, yes.
And
Everybody
I'll
stand.
say,
And let's end with that, with our anti-violence crusader,
yeah.
Miss Jackie Rowe-Adams. Please go
Yes.
to her website. Remember, you do have, yeah, because I saw the website, Harlem
www.
Mothers
Yes.
S.A.V.E.
Yes.
And located right here in Harlem. And we have the anti-violence march. Am I getting that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
This
The walk.
Saturday,
Anti-violence walk.
violence
That's right.
health walk.
Health
This
walk. Because
Saturday,
mental and physical.
yes, on 135th Street and St. Nicholas Avenue, 9
Yes.
a.m.
Yes. 9 a.m. Yes.
Thank you so much, Jackie. And you will be hearing from me.
Stephanie, thank you. Oh, if you play chess, real quick, if you play chess, we have an NYPD and youth chess tournament right here at 306 on the 16th. And any adult that want to play a youth, come on out so the youth could
The
beat them.
16th.
The 16th.
One of my collaborators calls himself a chess champion. So I will
Really?
definitely tell
Let
him
him know.
August 16th.
Yeah, we'll send it to you. We'll send it August 16th. Let
Okay.
him know. And we are
Okay.
recruiting kids. We got kids that want to play NYPD and some adults. We're going to be selective on adults. It's going to be a great day. And that's our closing for the street.
Okay.
So we just do
Thank
it.
you, listening audience, and any chess lovers. Come out here and challenge our youth or NYPD members
That's right.
to a game of chess.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. God bless you.